where does real change actually begin? I mean, really? Is it in the big headlines, the fancy boardrooms? Or is it somewhere a lot closer to home? In this explainer, we're going to dive into some really profound poems that explore exactly that idea, the hidden world that's right inside each and every one of us.
Let's start with this quote. You are paying attention, and that is the beginning of everything. Now, this line, which comes from an imagined introduction by the Nobel laureate Wislawa Szymborska, is basically the key that unlocks this whole conversation. It's not about having all the answers right away. Nope. It's about starting with something so simple but so powerful. Just paying attention.
Okay, so our first section is called A World of Gestures. And this idea, man, it really challenges our whole concept of what power even is. It suggests that maybe, just maybe, we've been looking for it in all the wrong places, focusing on all the loud noise and completely missing the real substance of it all.
We tend to think that history is shaped by all these loud, dramatic events, right? The huge speeches, the big revolutionary ideas. But the poems we're looking at today, they propose something totally different, a much, much quieter foundation for our reality.
Instead of all that noise, the poems suggest the world is held together by something like this, the small, almost invisible gestures that people make when they think no one is watching. It's not about putting on a show of power. It's about those real, authentic moments, a little bit of kindness, a flash of courage. These are the quiet threads that are actually holding our world together.
So, that brings us to our next big question. If power isn't in all those grand declarations, then where is the world made? I mean, where does our reality actually start to take shape?
And that question is right at the heart of the first poem we're diving into. It's basically asking us to look past all the obvious answers and think about a much more intimate, more personal place where our world gets created.
What's so cool here is the contrast the poem sets up. On one side, you have what we all think of as power, right? Parliaments, boardrooms, super smart AI. But then, the poem's truth points somewhere completely different. It points to those few seconds just before you open your curtains each morning. That tiny moment where you decide how you're going to greet the day.
Just think about that for a second. The poem is suggesting that our internal state, our anger, our kindness, it doesn't just color how we see things, it actually actively changes the quality of the world around us. The sunlight itself can feel like a warm friend or a sharp enemy, all depending on the heart that's receiving it.
And this leads to a really powerful metaphor. This idea of a small switch hidden right inside your chest, the one that can change everything. It's like the main control panel for our reality isn't somewhere out there. It's deep inside of us.
Okay, so this leads us to our third section, which is all about the threads we pretend not to see. Here, the poems kind of zoom out from just personal power to something that's just as wild, these invisible connections that tie us all together, whether we realize it or not.
I mean, this is kind of the default human experience, isn't it? We feel like we're on these separate islands, totally isolated in our own unique struggles. Our fears are private, our sorrows are our own. It all feels like solid proof that we're fundamentally alone in all of this.
But then, the poem offers this beautiful piece of counter-evidence, a moment of connection that just defies all logic. Like when, somewhere out there, a person you'll never meet folds quietly into themselves, and for no clear reason you release a soft sigh. It's this hint that, hey, maybe we're not such separate islands after all.
And what's really fascinating is how everyone has a different name for this. Scientists might call it resonance. Poets, they'll call it fate. But I think it's the children's perspective that just feels the most real, That simple, gut-level understanding when they just say, I know what you mean.
In the end, the poem isn't really asking us to prove this connection or analyze it to death. It's just inviting us to acknowledge it, to just feel for that little tug, that invisible thread tugging lightly at your sleeve, reminding you that you're part of something way, way bigger.
So, if we're all connected, and our inner state literally shapes our reality, well, where should we even start if we want to make a meaningful change? That brings us to our next section, the switch inside us, which takes us right to the source of it all. Look, we humans are great at this stuff. We're always tinkering, right? Constantly trying to fix the external machinery of the world. We design new systems, we tear down old laws, we put all our hope in faster and faster machines. And it all comes from a good place, this desire to make things better. And here's where the poem comes in, with this really radical diagnosis for why all our external fixes seem to fall short so often.
It's like we're performing surgery on a reflection in a mirror. Because the real world, the one that generates everything else, well, it's rather inconveniently located right inside our own chests.
This just lays out the journey so beautifully. First, we spend our lives searching for some kind of big switch out there that's going to fix everything. But then, we discover it's been with us the whole time, stitched into the lining of our hearts. And the final step? Just turning inward, finding that hidden switch and gently brushing off the dust.
Which brings us to our final section today. If we really have this inner switch, what does that mean for the future? Well, as the poem suggests, maybe tomorrow is a draft. Maybe it's not finished yet.
And I absolutely love this comparison. We're usually taught to see the future as this predictable thing, right? Something experts can map out for us with charts and models. But the poem's view is totally different. It sees the future as this messy, collaborative, living document. A rough draft with dog-eared pages and smudgers that's being revised by countless invisible hands.
And this is where we see our role in that whole revision process. The poems argue that every single morning, we're the ones handed the pen. And the kind of emotional ink we choose to write with, whether it's anger or kindness or fear or courage, that choice directly shapes the texture of the world that follows. If you choose anger, the world stiffens. If you choose kindness, it just lightens inexplicably.
I mean, that is such an empowering idea, isn't it? The future isn't some finished book that we're all just destined to read. No, it's an unfinished manuscript, and it's just waiting, patiently, messily, for your hand and my hand to continue the draft. So as we start to wrap this up, the poems leave us with this really humble but profound thought. This whole idea of tending to our inner world. It isn't about some grandiose mission to save the entire planet. As the poem puts it, the poems you write will not save the world, but they may save a morning. It's smaller than that, and maybe, just maybe, that makes it even more important. It's about saving just one morning, your morning, a stranger's morning, and who knows, maybe that's how the world is really saved in the end. One breath, one gesture, one well-written morning at a time. So the final question these poems leave us with is so simple, but at the same time it's everything. What will you write on your page tomorrow?